Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How does Jaswant Singh respond to the criticism that by writing a biography of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he's been playing with fire and he's been irresponsible, or he's been horribly naive? And in either event, he's ended up denigrating the core values of his former party, the Bharatiya Janata Party. That's the key issue I shall discuss today with Jaswant Singh, the author. Mr. Jaswant Singh, let me start with a simple question. Jinnah is a red rag to the BJP. You know that as well as anyone else. Therefore, by writing a biography of the man, you've been deliberately playing with fire, and if you've ended up burnt, then you have only yourself to blame.
But of course I'm to blame for whatever I do. I don't transfer the blame to anybody, but I can't question the decision, which is different. There is a degree of, I should say, simple-mindedness in my expulsion, because a distinction has to be made between late Muhammad Ali Jinnah's personal attributes as a human being and his politics. The personal attributes were admirable. His equations with human beings of all communities were really an example even then. His politics was abhorrible, particularly after 1940.
Except for the fact that you've gone much further. You've said that Jinnah was a great man. You said that Indians have demonized him. You said that he's not the only one, perhaps not even the principal person responsible for partition. Now I put it to you that that's not just provocative, it's asking for trouble.
Why should truth be provocative? Why should attempting to find what actually happened when partition took place? You are a consequence of partition, because in essence, only two provinces, they were then provinces of India, got divided. Punjab and Bengal. Both still call themselves Punjab, but I'll come to what you ask. I'm not being provocative. I'm being inquisitive. And I wanted to find out for myself what caused it.
Except for the fact that there are some areas where being inquisitive is going to provoke trouble. You knew better than anyone else, after 30 years in the BJP, after being in the Jan Sangh before that there are certain red lines one does not cross. You crossed it not just willingly, you crossed it almost deliberately. No. And you've defied a party.
No, I crossed it knowingly, but not as a red line. It's my understanding that in personal expression, finding out the truth about India's partition, no political party can lay down red lines or Lakshman Rekhas. We are not living in Stalinist Russia. We are living in India, where the tradition of Shastrarth is foremost, even in Sanatan thought.
Let me come back to that point you're making by giving you an analogy. You're saying that writing a biography of Jinnah, which challenges the way Jinnah is perceived both by this country and more importantly by your former party.
Also Pakistan.
Also Pakistan, is your right in your personal capacity. But that's tantamount to saying that Arun Jaitley, in his personal capacity, can defend Afzal Guru because he has a right as a lawyer to take up whatever brief he wants. But that's not how politics works, and you know it.
That's a choice. I don't want to go into which barrister, lawyer takes up which case. That would be not relevant to our today's inquiry.
No, but the point I'm making is not which barrister takes up which case. The point I'm making is that parties have core beliefs and they expect their members to adhere and subscribe to them. If you want to question them, be it intellectually or emotionally, do so from outside the fold, but you can't expect to do it from within the party and then get away with it.
Get away is and core beliefs. What is so core that I have disturbed? And get away, I'm not a criminal to get away.
I'll tell you what is so core for the BJP. They believe that Jinnah is a villain. You don't share that. In fact, you question that demonization of him. You end up saying he was a great man. That shakes their fundamental beliefs, and they don't like that.
Firstly, he has been demonized in India. I stand by that statement. He's a great man was a term used by late Mahatma Gandhi In my book, I have quoted Gandhi to say, it's in the cabinet mission, Shimla 2, and Gandhi says, Muhammad Ali Jinnah is a great man, the leader of a great party.
Except that in the interview to me last week, you agreed that you personally think of him as a great man.
But indeed I do.
But that sticks in the throat of your party, or your former party, and you knew it would.
I didn't think that they would be so small-minded as to hold a view against me, which is about the personal attributes of a historical person.
Do you really believe, Mr. Jaswant Singh, that as one of the most senior leaders of the BJP, you could afford in your personal capacity to hold views and write opinions of Jinnah and Patel, which the party itself doesn't endorse, and still expect the party not to take action against you?
I did, certainly. I didn't think my party is so narrow-minded, so limited, or so nervous about Jinnah or Patel as to get so riled by what I have written. I have a feeling, which I voiced also, that perhaps my former colleagues hadn't really read the book when they passed the sentence on me.
They even admit that they passed the sentence on you because of what you said in the interview to me last week, but that's another matter. You say you didn't...
Is that a curb on freedom of speech?
But you say that you didn't believe your party was so narrow-minded, so small-minded, as to object to your holding certain views. The truth is that these views that you hold run against party discipline. They run against what the party considers core beliefs. Were you being naive?
No.
Were you being naive in thinking that you could say this and expect the party won't take action?
No, I was not being naive. These are the views that I hold, I reiterate, and I have not stated an untruth. On the contrary, the party should be worried if untruth becomes the core of the party.
Well, you say that if untruth becomes the core of the party, but the problem is that parties hold to myths. Whether they're truths or untruths is academic. One of the myths your party holds to is the belief that Sardar Patel stood up against partition to the end. You've questioned that myth by equating Patel with Nehru, by bracketing them together. Now, Nehru is someone your party is happy to criticize. Patel they consider an icon. By bracketing one with the other, you've denigrated an icon. And again, you did it deliberately.
I have not denigrated an icon. I have simply pointed out the facts of history. Late Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had a secretary in V.P. Menon. V.P. Menon was his advisor. V.P. Menon was also Mountbatten's advisor. The plan for partition was sold to Patel by V.P. Menon. It's a fact of history. Jawaharlal Nehru, in the month of March 47, asks Patel, it's in transfer of power, please help me with the Congress Working Committee.
I concede readily that these are facts of history. You're not making them up. The problem is that you're rubbing facts of history into the face of a myth the party cherishes and demolishing that myth. No party accepts it. And you did it knowing that this was going to be the outcome. And therefore, I put it to you, were you playing with fire or were you being naive?
No, I was neither. I was attempting to find truth. It was a search for truth as to what lies or what lay behind our partition.
You're really saying to me
Yes.
that nothing motivated you more than just what you call the search for truth.
Absolutely.
In which case, let me ask you this. What you wrote is a political biography of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Why then have you completely overlooked and ignored the fact that he knew of, he approved of, and probably authorized the tribal Pathan invasion of Kashmir, which led directly to the October 1947 war? Why have you overlooked that?
I don't overlook it because the book ends with partition and his death.
The book
That's
ends,
a separate subject.
but this happened before Jinnah's death.
I know, but it's a subject that is altogether separate. It would go into the invasion. Of course he authorized it. I have also pointed out the great killing of Calcutta in vivid detail. I don't overlook any of the mistakes of his public life.
Except you called a man a great man. You said India has demonized him and obviously done so wrongly, and yet you've completely overlooked and ignored the fact that he launched against India the first threat to India's sovereignty and the first war that India faced. And he did it within 3 months of partition. That
Because
doesn't find
that
mention.
No, because that should have required altogether a different and a separate book. Already I was running into almost 900 pages. The book had to be cut down. There are limits to it.
But shouldn't this have been part of a political biography of Jinnah by an Indian politician?
No, I don't think so. It's a decision an author has to make, and a decision that's governed by many factors.
You're right. Authors always select what they want to put in.
Naturally.
In that selectivity, have you lost your objectivity? Have you lost your balance?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
You have no qualms about leaving out this particular...
No qualms at all. As a former soldier, I say this, because that is an inquiry that goes very deep into not just Jinnah ordering the launching, but the conduct of the entire operations by Indian leaders too.
What happens if people turn around and say that by overlooking and ignoring this, you've not only written a one-sided account, but you've exculpated Jinnah of the charge of launching war against India?
I haven't exculpated because amongst the first of the sentences that I used was, the distinction has to be made between his personal attributes and his public conduct. These are two very different things.
And that explains and underlines why you've left this out.
I haven't left it out because I didn't. It was practically not possible for me to cover. Then go also into Jinnah's death, and then go into what Pakistan today.
Is it convincing to say it was practically
That's
not
up
possible?
to you. That's up to you, really. The author has to make a choice. The author might not be able to convince everybody.
You stand by that choice?
Absolutely. What do you want me to do?
Let's take a break at that point. I want to come back and in the limited time available in part 2, put to you what you said about Jinnah versus what Mr. Advani said about Jinnah, and ask you from the other side now to ask whether there is really a difference between the two people's comments, and therefore how you respond to the fact that you've been expelled and he ends up as leader of the opposition. We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate in an interview with Jaswant Singh, now no longer a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, but the author of a well-read and highly controversial biography of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Mr. Jaswant Singh, I want to ask you the difference between what you said about Muhammad Ali Jinnah and what Mr. Advani said. And bear in mind that one of the reasons publicly given for your expulsion by Arun Jaitley when he addressed a press conference is that you called Jinnah a great man. Now, on the 4th of June 2005, when Mr. Advani wrote in the visitor's book of the Jinnah Mausoleum in Karachi, he ended with the following sentence: "My respectful homage to this great man." What's the difference between your calling Jinnah a great man and Advani calling him a great man?
Oh, one expression is by Sri Lalji Advani, and the other is by Jaswant Singh.
And that's the only difference.
Also some phraseology.
But that's it. When
I'm afraid that is it.
So there is
what difference can I find? Hadn't this question best be asked of Advani ji?
The second thing, that sentence begins, "My respectful homage to this great man." Now, the Oxford English Dictionary defines homage as acknowledgement of superiority, dutiful reverence. In other words, it is the duty and the reverence that one pays to someone who one acknowledges as superior. What do you make of that?
Oh, that he paid homage.
Should one pay homage to politicians or to gods and gurus?
That is really for Lalji Advani to make up his mind about.
Do you, Jaswant Singh, pay homage to Jinnah?
I don't pay homage to Jinnah. I just pointed out. I make a separation between his personal attributes, which were admirable, and truly his equations with other human beings, and his politics, which was abhorrent.
And when Mr. Advani pays homage, one assumes that he's paying homage to Jinnah and everything Jinnah stood for and not making the separation.
But that's really, isn't it really for Advani? How do I answer?
But the point I'm making to you is that are there double standards here? Has one set of criteria been used for Advani and another for Jaswant Singh?
My dear Karan, I know I'm outside of the periphery, even not even in the periphery of the BJP's radar screen, as it were. They have, I wish they hadn't used the word expelled, and they had better choice of phrases to. Even in the academy, we used to have a better phrase for a cadet who was a gentleman cadet, if he found unfit, was withdrawn.
In other words, the expulsion, so
Hurts me.
But it could have also been done more gracefully.
Oh, without doubt, by personally coming and telling me, I'm afraid Jaswant, 30 years Advani, he hasn't even telephoned.
Even now, he hasn't telephoned.
Of course not, but doesn't matter, now it's too late.
Tell me something. When at 1 o'clock they telephoned you in Simla to say you'd been expelled, did you ask them if they'd read the book?
It was Jaswant Singh who had called, and I certainly did ask. In Hindi, of course. I wish, has the book been read? And to which his response was, in Hindi, might I say it in Hindi?
Of course.
हाँ भाई साहब, किताब कई लोगों ने पढ़ी है, बहुत गुस्सा है. I've had a collector.
But the book had only been out for 36 hours. In
Not
fact,
even 36 hours. 17th of August, about 7:30. 19th at about 1 o'clock. That's not even 36 hours.
and in fact, on the 18th, just 12 or 15 hours after the book was out, Rajnath Singh issued a statement completely dissociating the party from the book.
Yes, but that's, I believe, and I apprehend it was without really reading it.
So when he claims that the book had been read, do you think he was lying?
Ask him that question.
But what's your feeling?
I don't want to go into my feeling. I have blanked that chapter out.
Do you believe the book had been read?
It's quite a feat in speed reading. If you read almost 700 pages, I don't believe that my prose is fiction. It's not easy. It requires attention. It would be a remarkable feat.
I'm going to reiterate this point. Rajnath actually said to you at 1 o'clock on the 19th,
Afternoon.
1 o'clock in the afternoon on the 19th, when he was expelling you, that the book had been read,
काफी लोगों ने पढ़ी है.
giving you the impression that he too had read it?
No, that was not the impression I gathered. When you say काफी लोगों ने, you're referring to second person.
But in other words, the views they'd formed were based upon a reading of the book,
So I was told.
which you find hard to believe because it's not an easy
I
book to
do
read.
not believe that, because it's not practical.
Did you question him about this?
No, I did not question him. I don't question. It is undignified. It's not in my makeup.
So you accepted it even though you were
I
pretty-
laughed.
You laughed.
I laughed ruefully. And I did tell him, with some pain, I believe, but I rather really wish, Rajnath Singh ji, Advani ji, aap personally बुलाकर बात कर लेते.
What was his answer to that?
He kept quiet and फिर बात करेंगे. Put the telephone down.
But वो मौका फिर बात करने का आज तक नहीं आया.
वो मौका कहाँ से आएगा? वो सड़क तो चली गई.
Have you lost respect for people like
I don't
Rajnath Singh and
want to-
Advani?
I don't want to answer that question. It's a highly personalized comment. May God give them whatever they are looking for.
Justice or revenge?
Good luck.
Good luck. Jaswant Singh, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.